The Gospel of John says, "Now Jesus did many other signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book." So why are these written? These are written so that you may come to believe. Yes, come to believe. It's a process, coming to believe. When you come to believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that through believing you might what? Have life. Have life in his name, right? So the writer, John, is saying that coming to believe is a process. It doesn't just land on you. You have to come to believe. And the purpose of belief in the scriptural Christian sense is to have life. It's not just to have a set of beliefs. We all have plenty of those, don't we? My gosh. Maybe you call them opinions, I don't know, but we sure have a lot of beliefs. We have beliefs about our family, we have beliefs about our government, we have beliefs about our environment, we have beliefs about cars and trucks, we have beliefs about why we live in Big Bear. I mean, it just goes on and on. Most of us have come to whatever those beliefs are, though, through some process. Something got us there. I grew up in the South where I was led to believe that the South was going to rise again. And I really thought that as a kid because that's what I heard all the time. I had no idea what it meant. It was a belief, a fundamental belief that the South would rise again. I was also taught a certain degree of racism, which I didn't understand at the time. I didn't realize I was being taught racism because I never saw my parents or my grandparents as racist. But now, these years later, I can look back and see, well, they were just handing down their belief system of what was given to them. And I was taught that there were different categories of dark people. It seemed strange to me as a kid. I thought, that's an odd belief. I wonder how they got that. But I didn't question it too much. Because, why? Because somebody in authority over my life was telling me that there are different categories of dark people. So it's a belief that I've had to not only challenge, but dispose of, right, over the years. And that's the way it is with belief. We can't just let it be static. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It's a dynamic thing to believe. That's why the scriptures say we come to believe. We have beliefs. They're encapsulated every Sunday. We see them all around us. They're encapsulated in our prayer book, right? They're encapsulated in what we visually see. The liturgy is beautiful, and we see the altar, and we see vestments, and we hear an amazing choir. Yeah, you guys are amazing. And all of that reinforces belief. But we have to constantly ask ourselves, is that belief leading to life? Because that's the goal, that's the result that Jesus is after in our belief. Well, faith and belief have a real close association, don't they? Particularly in scriptures, over and over again, Jesus goes to places where there's a lot of unbelief. And he often challenges them for of having no faith. So their faith and belief are closely linked. He went to heal a son of a father who came to him and said, "My son is convulsed with a spirit." And Jesus went and he cast out that spirit. But first he asked, how long has he had this problem? He did a little bit of diagnostics. Well, it's been since he was a child. Do you think if your son was sick this way since he was a child and now he's probably a teenager, it would have absolutely encroached in your belief system? My son is always going to be this way. And so the father says to Jesus, when Jesus starts to heal him, he says, "I believe, but help my unbelief." It has to come to a place of belief. And so Jesus did cast out the demon, and the boy was healed on the spot. All of the other people around him, his disciples said, "We tried, why couldn't we succeed?" And Jesus said, "Well, this kind comes out only by prayer and fasting." So we won't get into that right now, but the point is, the Father had to grow in his ability to believe that Jesus could do what he said he was going to do. we believe a lot of things that aren't quite true. I think I've shared this before. We think the sky is blue, right? Well, it's not really blue. John's here, he's going to correct me, I'm sure. I hate to get into these atmospheric discussions. But as I understand it, that's what our eyes see, because that's the dominant, is that particle or molecule, whatever it is? The dominant wavelength, I guess it is.
Well, yeah.
Is blue. But in essence, we're saturated with white light. Is that correct, John?
Well,
something like that?
It's scattered from the atoms in the atmosphere.
Right.
The blue light tends to get scattered more, and so that's called blue.
And then as the sun goes down, the reds get scattered.
Red gets scattered more, and so
They get scattered more, but they're all coming from the same light. It's just a matter of what we're perceiving with our eyes. So experientially, we can say the sky is blue, but in fact, the sky is more than blue. It's a whole lot more than blue, but that's what we see. So are we wrong? No, we're just incomplete. We're not quite there yet. We've still got a ways to go. I knew that someone was in the building today because there were donuts. Right? It was Jamie. I didn't have to see him. I had faith because I knew there was the evidence that the donuts were there. That was evidence that Jamie is present. Did I see him yet? No, but I believed that he was there, and I had basis for my belief. We have dreams, and sometimes we don't believe our dreams. We dismiss those. But you know, even the dream world is trying to teach us something. I had a very strange one last night I'll share with you, only because I know you love me. You don't share many dreams. This was a strange one, though. I was in a gathering of a lot of people. I was sitting on the front row. I don't guess it was a pew. It was more like a front row. It was like a gymnasium, and the gym instructor asked me to stand up. And he said to take off your shirt. We're going to show people your muscles. Then I began to realize it was my church people in the rows behind me. And he began to critique my muscles. And tell me the things I should be doing to get more muscles. And then I was very embarrassed, obviously, by the dream. But it got even worse, because once I finally got my shirt back on and sat down and everybody began to disband from the rows, I began to realize they weren't just my church people like you, but they were people from all my churches, going back in history. Representatives from each congregation were there, checking out my muscles. Now, I could dismiss that dream as irrelevant, but it's trying to tell me something. Now, I'm going to be meditating upon it, what it's trying to tell me, and I have some suspicions. But it's another way that we come to believe by paying attention to things. Donuts, muscles, the color of the sky. How about love? It's hard to quantify, isn't it? And yet it's the most compelling, powerful, experiential feeling of our lifetime, to be loved. We come to believe we're loved. How do we do that? By the actions of people around us, right? Or their words and their actions. It affirms to us that we are of value, that we have muscles. Maybe I was thinking about Jamie. Jamie's working out and Ann's working out, so you guys probably are inspiring me. That's what it is. Coming to believe, one of the most sacred journeys of all life. You know, we look at so many people, even churchgoers, and they're not in a process of coming to believe. They've already formed all their beliefs. You can't tell me that everybody who's going in and out of all these churches, next door, downtown, even here, I cannot believe that everybody feels that they are in process. I have to believe that many think they've already got what it takes. They've already arrived. They understand the liturgy. Or the preacher's going to give them a great sermon today, and they don't even have to worry about faith because he's already done all the work for them.
they've been saved.
They've been saved, washed in the blood. The preacher's got an hour-long sermon. They've got a great praise band, whatever. Not to criticizing any other denominations. I'm just saying we're all prone to that, to think it's already done for us. It's prepackaged, and it just isn't. We're in process of coming to believe. So thank God for somebody like Thomas. We're finally getting to the gospel. The man who we call the doubter was actually the seeker. Everybody else was gathered in the room on that night out of fears, but where was Thomas? He wasn't fearful, possibly, but he was out. He was out in the he was out in the space outside of this closed and locked door. Thomas was not there. And he then had the integrity to say, and I say it's integrity because he spoke truthfully. I will not believe until I see the nail print in his hand and put my hand in his side. So I say he is the seeking Thomas, not the doubting Thomas. He was seeking an authentic faith. He was in process of coming to believe. And we're so grateful, obviously, that Jesus came back to him. The risen Christ came back to him and said, see my hands, and put your hand in the wound of my side. So that even the seeking Thomas is a great model for us. So what I'm thinking of today, really the heart of my sermon, is that our faith and our belief are closely related. We can easily come to a false belief, and we all have to be open to the possibility that we do have false beliefs. If anybody in here thinks they don't have false beliefs, warning, warning, danger. We all have them. False beliefs. We've gotten to that from some point. Maybe it was the grandfather who said there are different categories of dark folks. Maybe it was the preacher who said, when you give your heart to Jesus, you are a certain brand of Christian, or whatever. Maybe it is the catechesis in our prayer book, and you think, all I need to do is memorize the catechism, and I have faith now. It comes in so many different forms. Stop, look, listen, be in process, and let your faith be living, and let your belief be well informed. Seek the truth, and let the truth correct us. So that when you have a dream, like I did, you must stop and say, what are you trying to tell me? Either my subconscious, or maybe even God. Something is speaking to me, and I better listen, because I am not there yet. So, welcome to your journey. It's a journey where it's okay, Episcopalians, to doubt, and it's okay, Episcopalians, to discover. And Episcopalians, when you doubt and discover, then rejoice. But don't freeze frame it and say, I've arrived. You're still in process. You are still coming to believe. Dear gracious God, we thank you that you lead us through the valleys, often of the shadow of death, and sometimes you set us down in green pastures. But always you feed us with what we need to have a living, vibrant, and true faith. Correct our beliefs that are based on fallacies of our past, or misinformation, or the prejudice of others. Bring us to a place of openness to correction and to readiness to receive the truth of your word. Thank you so much for the gift of faith and the power of belief. In Jesus' name, amen.
Okay, children's sermon time.
Come on up, Lucy.
Oh good, you brought uni. Yeah. So you can sit anywhere you want. Let me sit down here with you guys. Peace be with you. Yeah, in the gospel it said that Jesus breathed on them saying, receive the Holy Spirit, right? So, we have a flower here. And you know flowers have meanings. Did you know that? Did you know flowers they have all different kinds of meanings. Like a yellow rose, you know what a yellow rose is, right? Okay, well, you know what a rose is? Okay, so if it's a yellow rose, it means friendship. Did you know that? It's a kind of a medieval thing. It's like an ancient sort of thing that's kind of gotten lost. But they used to have all kinds of meanings. So if you gave like a bouquet of flowers to somebody, like if you had rosemary and a little yellow rose, it meant remember our friendship. Because rosemary means remember. And yellow rose means friendship. And if you put it upside down, it meant the opposite. If you gave them an upside down bouquet, it meant don't remember our friendship. Yeah, they had all these secret meanings. There was like a code of language in flowers. Yeah, yeah. So this is a columbine. And a columbine, you guys have this in your garden? No? It's a mountain flower. And the reason and the meaning of this one, see, it looks kind of like it has wings, doesn't it? It's kind of like a dove. Yeah, you know what? You can have one for your hair. Would you like one for your hair? Here. There we go. There's one right for your hair. Well, it's not sticking very well, but there you go. So it looks kind of like, you know, a dove or an eagle. You can take it here, right? And then if you look at the little leaves on there, there's like 3 leaves, kind of like the shamrock. Remember we had the shamrock that had the 3 leaves for the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit? So the meaning of this flower is dove, and very specifically it means, what does the symbol of the dove mean? Peace. Peace, it means the Holy Spirit. Okay? You're going to say that? So here's another picture that is kind of goes to the gospel where Jesus is saying, receive the Holy Spirit. And here comes the Spirit down in the symbol. They symbolize the Holy Spirit as a dove. And it's coming down on all the apostles. And yeah, you want to? Anyway, I looked very hard for this columbine because they don't seem to come out yet in bloom. So I finally found one. So you guys can take the columbine flower. Anyway, this is a mountain flower that grows up at our altitudes. And it is a pretty hardy perennial. Okay? Yeah? That's good. Okay, so just remember that this flower here, the columbine, is representative of the Holy Spirit and peace. Peace be with you. There you go. Very good. Okay, that's it. Let's go, Lucy. Okay, you got her flower? Very good.